So thank you all for being here. We're super excited. Obviously, geographically, our district's just huge. So being able to do these things via Zoom is a kind of a blessing. Even though some of us may be less thrilled about Zooms, but we do really appreciate the idea. There's no way that all of us could get together so easily. So we're very, very excited and we're very thankful to the wonderful folks, Carl and Robin specifically, who are going to be talking to us and providing us with wonderful information. So we're going to start off with some of the kind of standard start a meeting stuff that we're very excited to be doing. And somehow or another, while I was talking, I lost my schedule. Look at that. All right. So we're going to start out with the inspiration. Well, sorry, I am Alvin Shaw. I'm the district governor-elect, if you do not know me. And we do have some other wonderful folks on this meeting. You already heard Amy Moon, the district governor nominee, speaking a little bit ago. And now that my screens are small, I don't have a lot of information on who all is on here. So we have lots of great people here, I'm sure. Julie Johnson Hafner, the immediate past district governor. I'm clicking through all the little images looking for you people. And we have the current district governor, Karen Morgan. And we have our district membership chair, Lori Garrison, and our district training chair, Lori Klatt, the Lories. So very excited to have everybody on here. And so we're going to actually just go ahead and start off with an inspiration because 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, who doesn't need inspired? So we have Lynn Mortensen from Berthoud Satellite Club of Loveland, Colorado. And please, as we move through these, if you'll stay muted unless you're the one speaking, especially for the pledge and the four-way test, because that gets really weird and echoey. So please welcome Lynn.
Thank you, and thanks for asking me to do this. This is one of my favorite poems by Dinah Mulock Craig. It's called Friendship. Oh, the comfort, the inexpressible comfort of feeling safe with a person, having neither to weigh thoughts nor measure words, but pouring them all right out just as they are, chaff and grain together, certain that a faithful hand will take and sift them, keep what is worth keeping, and with a breath of kindness, blow the rest away.
That was wonderful, Lynn. Thank you so much. All right. And now for the Pledge of Allegiance, we have Nancy Brown, the president-elect of the Rotary Club of Thermopolis, Wyoming.
A flag to you guys. Are you ready? I
Yes.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
United
States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible,
with
with
liberty
and justice for all.
Thanks, Nancy. I appreciate
You're
you.
welcome.
All right. Reminder, please mute yourself. If not, Kelly, can you please try to mute people? And Natalie Sunderheimer from the president-elect Rotary Club of Fort Collins. Maybe not Natalie. Natalie got muted too.
of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right. So, do have a couple announcements here for us. Just real quick, the fall assembly date has been chosen, so please save the date. We're actually going to be doing a virtual fall assembly this year. Typically, we kind of rotate between spring being virtual and fall. Due to some venue issues and things like that, we're trying something new, which is kind of fun. So October 3rd is going to be our virtual fall assembly. We are going to be doing, we're still working on exactly who our keynote's going to be. We've got a couple great ideas, just seeing who we can confirm. And we're going to be doing a lot of very specific training that hopefully is going to be impactful for you both in Rotary and likely in just general skill building stuff. So we're very excited for that. We'll be putting more stuff out. But October 3rd, likely at 9 o'clock, just like this. So please put that on your calendars. And then we do have the club visits coming up with Amy, David Dunn, and myself visiting your clubs. Please make sure your president-elects did receive that date when at president-elect training. And please make sure that you guys have those on the calendars, and we'll be reaching out to work out all the details soon. So, and next we have Karen Morgan, our current district governor, talking about a very exciting Innovation Summit. But only if she unmutes herself.
Okay.
There.
Am I unmuted now? Yes, there we go. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here this morning. I want to thank each of you for also being a Rotarian. We appreciate you so much and the work that you do to make a lasting impact on your communities and in the world. At this time in our world, I think we set the example of the value of kindness and working together and focusing on the things that we have in common versus our differences. So thank you so much for that. There are a couple announcements. Alvin, I added one as in the middle of the night, of course. But Lynn Mortensen, who did our introduction this morning, is assisting me with our Epic Day of Service. She and I are going to be getting together this week, but how many of you are familiar with Epic Day of Service or are doing something with your clubs? Okay. So Epic Day of Service is going to occur on May 16th. Now, if you go to the website, epicdayofservice.org, or you just Google Epic Day of Service, you will see a website where we hope that each of our clubs in our district will consider doing a service project on Saturday, May 16th. Although it could, if it doesn't work out that day and it's a week before or a week after, 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, but register it on that site and invite your community to participate with you in that district conference. And I see Alvin put that in the chat. So thanks, Alvin. But we really are hoping that you all will do that. I also want to thank Lori Garrison for reaching out to the governor of Wyoming. And the governor and one of the senators in Wyoming will be signing a proclamation on May 15th to proclaim May 16th as Epic Day of Service in Wyoming. It's a little tougher to coordinate in Colorado for our Colorado folks because we have multiple districts, the same in Nebraska, but I'm really excited about that. And I hope that you all will, all you need to do is think of a service project that maybe would be great in your community, invite others in your community to participate and show up. And then also let your local media know that this is an epic day of service for Rotary clubs across the world, because it's not just in our district, it's not just in North America, it is throughout the world that we have Rotary clubs participating. So again, I encourage you all to jump on board and to participate. Now, the next subject near and dear to my heart, of course, is the upcoming Innovation Summit. I am hoping that everybody on this call has registered. If not, please go to rotary5440.org and register. We have limited seating for this event simply because of the capacity of the hotel. And we're really encouraging people to register early. As well, the hotel block, even if you haven't decided that you are going to come, I encourage you to go reserve your room at the Fort Collins Hilton prior to May 5th, because that is the day our room block cuts off. So please go make that registration. If you're just considering it, please go do that. We have a block of rooms that we have guaranteed, and I need to fill those. We as a district need to fill those. So even if you're local, maybe you live within an hour, within 30 minutes, 15 minutes of the hotel, take a little mini staycation and come stay with us at the Fort Collins Hilton for at least one night. So we'd appreciate that. Now let's talk about the conference, the Innovation Summit. And there's been some, I think, confusion I've heard out there because we did not call it the district conference. Some people are like, well, what happened to the district conference? Is there not going to be one? Well, this is the district conference, but we have also heard that district conference for some people, especially our newer Rotarians, go, what is that? I'm not sure. So we wanted to create an event for you all this year that gives you transferable skills outside Rotary. What we do in Rotary is very important, but part of the value of Rotary for us as Rotarians is the skill sets that we're able to pick up in the various leadership roles that we take on, or in the various committee roles. So looks like Kelly's got the link to register also in the chat. So if you want to do that, you can. But I wanted to invite all of you personally to come. We have 4 really dynamite keynote speakers that we were able to bring in thanks to the generosity of Mountain Valley Banks and Platte Valley Banks, who gave us a significant donation to cover our speaker costs. So Larry Kendall is in the Colorado Business Hall of Fame. He founded the Group Real Estate, which is the largest real estate company in northern Colorado. He also founded a company called Ninja Selling. Now, I know most of us don't like to think of ourselves as salespeople, but honestly, if you speak and you talk, you are a salesperson, because what we are doing is trying to influence others in our lives to take actions that we think would be beneficial to them or to others. And so Larry's going to bring a very practical approach to talking about selling, but really talking about building relationships and understanding the needs of the folks that we're talking to. So these are transferable skills that you'll be able to use not only in Rotary, but throughout all of your life. We also are fortunate to have Alex Goryachev, who is the Wall Street Journal best-selling author. Forbes has rated him as one of their best speakers. And he's going to be talking about artificial intelligence. I don't know how many of you watched the re-entry of the space capsule that came back from the around the moon. And, I'm sure there were some people who were saying, oh, all that was AI generated. Well, I think that's not true. And secondly, I think that part of coming to our Innovation Summit, you'll learn more about artificial intelligence and really what AI can do to benefit you in your lives, but also what are some of the things you need to be careful of and that we need to watch out for to ensure that we're not being taken advantage of. Artificial intelligence is here to stay, so we need to learn as much as we can about it, and we felt it important to share that information with our Rotarians. Wynn Spiller, who is our Rotary International Director, is going to join us on Saturday night. That is also going to be our foundation and recognition dinner. It's going to be a fun event. We look forward to recognizing some of the great generosity and gifts that we have in Rotary, but Wynn will also be talking about her experience in Rotary and why the foundation is important. And then we want to invite you to stay for Sunday morning. This year, we're going to do a Sunday morning session. And on Sunday morning, we have Clint Schroeder. Clint has been a trainer for all of us who are in the DG line for the past 3 years, but he is an incredible speaker. He is also the president and executive in charge of Hagadone Newspaper and Media Group, based in Coeur d'Alene, Iowa, but they have publications throughout the Western United States. And I think he's going to bring a fresh approach to us regarding public image and how we can take advantage of Rotary to not only benefit our lives, but to benefit others in the community, and to think about it from an innovative perspective. He's very creative, and I hope that you'll join us on Sunday morning. You'll be happy that you did. We have great breakout speakers. You'll start to see some of those on the website soon. I don't want to take too much time, so I'm not going to go into all of them, but I do want to personally invite each of you to attend. You know what the real value of our Innovation Summit, in addition to the great speakers and the great information that you're going to walk away with, is the relationships that we build with each other within the district and the networking and the opportunity to find out what's working with others. It's so valuable, and I promise that once you come to a district conference and you experience that, you won't want to miss another one. So please, June 5th through 7th at the Fort Collins Hilton. Come join us to the Innovation Summit and be a part of the network of Rotarians who are doing wonderful things to change the world. Thank you.
Look at that. She even finished on time. So proud. Karen and I have a lot of fun giving each other a hard time about our time management skills. Thanks so much, Karen. And guys, that really want to iterate how much that as a leadership team we've decided that, you know, when we look at successful clubs and we look at Rotarians that are getting the most out of their memberships, the majority of them are engaging in activities like this, district conference, president-elect training, those types of events. And that's where not only are they giving and engaging better, but they're getting so much more. So we really, really are encouraging everybody to do that. Along those lines, for this upcoming year, we issued a challenge at PETS saying that I'm going to, for every club whose president-elect goes to PETS training, their AG goes to PETS training, and they send a member of their club to District Conference 27. I'm going to be donating $100 to the foundation, which then to return will come back to us in district designated funds. So I would love for you guys to, put me in the poorhouse and, and help with that. Just a fun little thing. We're just doing it for fun and really hoping to increase our impact and help your clubs increase. So for now, though, I'm very, very excited. One of the things that we have is a lot of tools in Rotary, a ton. And we don't always necessarily know how to use them, and we don't always engage with them as well as we could have. Carl is just a wonderful resource for us at the district level. He's very, very intelligent on these things and very experienced. So we are welcoming him to talk to us about the tech and all of the general tech opportunities and availability we have to us in our clubs. So please welcome Carl.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you today. I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about what we do with Club Runner. This is one of the big technology tools that's very popular across our district. Actually, Club Runner is an external company based out of Canada, but they started out as a Rotary generated thing. And to this day, Rotary is their largest customer. So they've got a lot of focus on making sure that Rotary can be effective and that we use these tools to great impact. So I wanted to, what I've got for you here, I've got two computers here, so I'm checking to make sure that the screen looks the way I wanted it to. So I've got some slides up in the left side here, but also I wanted to show you live what it looks like to be using Club Runner. So for those of you who have not used Club Runner, it is the system behind which a lot of clubs run their website, run the member management events that they're doing, all of this kind of stuff, pretty comprehensive. And so they introduced a new version of it called Nova last year, and they're in the process of getting clubs to upgrade from the old version to the new version. And it goes gradually because each club makes its own decisions and maybe runs into things that they want to upgrade during the process. So they're giving us time to do that, but expect that if you're not yet on the Nova version, that they'll be pushing us to do that by the end of 2026. It's a good thing to do. The bugs have been worked out at this stage, and so we don't have to worry about it so much. So question is, how do we get our money's worth out of this investment in Club Runner Nova? So I wanted to look at what does Nova look like. So this is the page that I got to by going to my website and logging in. And then this is what it comes up with. You'll notice that we've got site administrators, executive editors, and members. I happen to be administrators, so I get all of these things. But if you're a member, what you'll see is a little bit less. It's about your particular member information. If you're a editor on the website, then you have other things you can do, like with content and whatever. So let's look at the membership management here. When you first come on, you'll see this bunch of icons on the left side. What I always do is I expand that using what's called the hamburger menu there at the top, because it looks like a hamburger, I guess, right? And that gives me words. So I find this easier to navigate than trying to remember what the icons were. So I go to members and contacts, and it's going to come up with all of our club members. So there you go, all of our club members. I bugged people to try to get a photo in there. Some people are reluctant to do that, but you know, whatever. There's a search function at the top, and that lets me search for people by name to quickly go to whatever it is that I might want to do with them. This also can track my active members, which is mostly what you see here, of course, but also honorary members. We have a few honorary members in our club, and so including, by the way, since we mentioned the Artemis II landing yesterday, which was quite exciting, we have as an honorary member an actual astronaut who grew up in Fort Collins, and she gave a presentation to our club in 2024, and so we gave her an honorary membership, and so that's why we've got somebody with an astronaut's suit rather than what us normal people might wear. And then inactive members. So of course, this has been tracking everybody we've had as members since we started using Club Runner in, I think, 2013 is when we first started doing it. So we've got a whole bunch of inactive members, but we still have the contact information for them. And that's really useful because we want to connect up with our alumni at certain times. We hold an alumni lunch every year. But we can also reach out to them for other kinds of things. And so it's really nice to have that. I also wanted to point out the here on the list are contacts and prospects. So contacts are people that we want to keep connection with. Often that's going to be people in the community that we've known, maybe some of our former speakers, things like that. Prospects are the people that we are in connection with to be future members of our club. Now, we aren't really using that to great effect in our particular club. So at the moment, this is pretty empty. But if we were using this, it's a very good mature model, works really well. And it works in conjunction with Rotary International's way of reaching out to potential members and having them send us notices, things like that. So I would encourage you to look into this as we are all trying to grow our membership. So, okay, next thing. Yeah, so I guess I covered this, didn't I? But do please, if you're interested in it, there's a Club Runner video that shows you exactly how it works. I would suggest that you look at the Club Runner videos are quite excellent. They cover a lot of information really quickly, and they give you more resources should you want to dig deeper. So I would encourage you to do that. Okay. Another thing we use quite a lot in our club is weekly bulletins. So I'm going to take you to that. Basically, we send a email message to all of our club members every week. I used to do it on Thursday. The current president wants to do it on Monday. We have our meetings on Tuesday. It's, however you want to use it. You could also create a bulletin for prospective members if you wanted to, and send it out to them and give them a little bit of a different view of what's going on in your club. But we've got a whole lot of information. I'll just give you a quick view as to what ours looks like. So we got a nice graphic header at the top. Then we've got the message from the president at the top. We've got upcoming meetings here. Sorry, it's flashing. That's kind of annoying, isn't it? Our president will be filling in who is doing what at the upcoming meeting. We've got our list of upcoming events, our upcoming speakers, announcement of things that people might be interested in. Our local Rotaract president got the award of Student Organization Leader of the Year. And so I wanted to highlight her because she's here today. So we want to all say congratulations to Syra. She is brilliant, but also other things like, trying to get people to sign up and come to our brew meeting next week, things like that. And then I have the list of the past programs because I capture the videos for all of those, and then our past bulletins. So almost all of this is populated automatically. And that's one of the key things about this is you don't have to go and type all of this in every week. That would be ridiculous and very annoying. Almost all of this is done automatically by information that's on our website, and multiple people can do it. So for instance, I manage the section about past videos. The president updates this list of meeting locations, but just does that once a month. And then, of course, we have the president's message at the top, and he types that in new every week. So that's a really exciting feature. They've done as best they can to reduce the amount of work that it takes to send out a message like that. But, every club has their own way of communicating with members. Sometimes it's little pieces of paper on the table every week at the meeting. Sometimes it's emails, sometimes it's other things. So, Club Runner is great at giving us options for how we want to manage that kind of information.
So
yes.
It looks like it's kind of a template setup. So
Yeah.
After initial setup, how much time would you say a typical club would need to put into filling something like this out to have it out every week?
So I spend on the past videos section maybe 2 minutes just to make it look nice. The president is going to spend maybe 10 minutes. And so if you're doing it every week, then 10 minutes a week on this kind of stuff. But it's, you would be spending that time on communicating with your members anyway, right? It just might be using a different mechanism than this. So
it looks pretty user friendly. So
yeah, and then
even
of
if
course
it's monthly or weekly or whatever.
That somebody put in on our calendar that we have a spring assembly that happens to be occurring today. Actually, that's really odd. And so it took somebody maybe 3 minutes to type in the information about the district assembly. And then, upcoming meetings. Well, a lot of these meetings are recurring. And so you set it up once and then they happen every week and whatever you want to. The leadership and finance meeting is done monthly in our case. The Brew Fellowship is done once a month in our case, things like that. So, each of those things took a few minutes, but potentially by different people. It's not all on the back of the president of the club.
That's great. Thanks, Carl.
Yeah, thanks, Sal. Okay. Moving along.
Got a quick question in
yes.
the chat here.
Yes.
Give me a second while I pull that up for you.
Yeah,
So
so
we've got oh, do you got it up?
yeah, uh-huh.
Okay.
So in my experience, 2 to 4 hours a week for the weekly newsletter, depending on how much content and photos. Right. So, if you're trying to organize photos, for instance, that can take some time, right? Calendar changes. Um, and so, think of it in comparison to what you do today and say, how much time do I spend doing that? And would doing it as an email be more efficient? Would it be friendlier for my members? Um, People have mixed emotions about email, and some people like that, and some people don't. And so I understand every club is different, and you need to make the trade-offs as to what would be useful. Um, and maybe you do something monthly that's in addition to what you do on a weekly basis because we like our pieces of paper on the table every week. And we don't want to change that. But having something that would be monthly, that would be maybe longer term and more reflective and say, here's the bigger stuff going on, or recognitions for teams and people who have done awesome stuff in our community, things like that.
Sure. Carl, it looks like Lisa kind of has a kind of a technical question on, where the data can be pulled from for this newsletter. It look from the
Yeah.
website/social media, how it exactly works.
Yeah, so the social media, that's been an ongoing discussion. I've been having with the Club Runner team for a few years, actually, because they have ways of including your social media feed into it, but that's really all they do. They don't, it's not selective. And so I haven't been using it for our club at all. Basically, if I'm going to put something on social media that's important for our club to see, then I also just copy and paste it and make an article on our website. The other thing I worry about with social media is that it might disappear at any point. We don't control these companies. And so if some company decides that they're going to go dark for a week, then yeah, maybe it's our social media stuff might disappear or it's not very controlled. So, those are the kinds of things I think about. Um, so yeah, but the nice thing is that this is a very active space. The Club Runner team is very responsive. They know me by name, actually. And every time I meet their team, whether it's at International Convention or they were at PETS a few weeks ago, I have to go over and introduce myself, and they know who I am before I complete because they see my name and they know the spelling of my name because it's unique. So they're good people.
I'll add into that, Carl, that when I went to Calgary and stopped by the Club Runner booth and mentioned that I worked with you, I got extra stuff to bring back for you.
Yeah, I thought that was quite hilarious, actually. So I have now 3 pairs of Club Runner socks because that's what they give away. I've got like 3 Club Runner pins, and they got their merch, and that's cool. So, but anyway,
Hey, Carl, do you have a good link that or a good contact that somebody should use to reach directly out to Club Runner?
yeah. So if you uh, So let's go to this. I'll go back to my home screen. You notice right at the top of the home screen here, they have give feedback. And that's great for sending them information specifically about Nova. So when you're trying to get up and running and you have questions and stuff, that's a good link. They also have a very active uh, you can submit a bug report. And so I use that a fair bit. Um, I have a number of conversations that are ongoing right now. Um, yeah, it's down at the bottom. Here we go. Submit a ticket. Okay, it's under the help section. And so I've got a number of things that are going on relative to that. So, okay. So for communication, let's go to the email now. So I can send an email to everybody in our club or anybody in our club or anybody in our contact database, actually. And so, for instance, we have advertisers on our website, and that fully funds our website, by the way, and all of our other IT stuff is that we have some advertising that's on there. It's all vetted by a club, and actually it's all people in our club or people who have been previous members are those advertisers. So we know that we trust them. And so I send them an advertiser report once a month. And that's going to a select set of people. But just last week, I sent a notice saying, hey, CSIRO was recognized as CSU's Student Organization Leader of the Year. And so I sent that message out to everybody. I'm only seeing my emails here, by the way. I could also, since I'm the site administrator, I could see the emails that everybody is sending out. So the fact that you're seeing these all sent by me is intentional.
Hey, Carl, Randy Looper had a question if
Yeah.
there's a reply all function in the new system.
No. And so this is a very interesting thing about the way that these kinds of emails work. When you send an email, it sends that as an individual email to each person. And it does that, so that we don't turn into a spam factory and get shut down by internet police that say, hey, these guys are sending a whole lot of emails. And that we don't get into what's called reply to all storms, which are very, very common in the work world. You've seen that where somebody will send a message and then somebody says, that wasn't interesting to me. Please stop, take me off your list. However, they did that as a reply to all. And so 1,050 people got the message that said, please take me off your list. And then they start complaining because they're like, why are you replying to me? Reply to, but they do that as a reply to all. And so it goes downhill very quickly and is very annoying. So they specifically prevent that from happening by sending these as individual messages. I'll give you an example. When I sent this message out, so just going to view it here. Okay. I'd say I'm sending this out to everybody in our club so that they know that this is a general message and not just specifically destined for them. Now, do people read that? Well, maybe, maybe not. But it is what it is. Okay. And so our club has a board that's very active. And when we are doing board communications, that's generally done outside Club Runner. And the reason is so that people can reply to all, because that's the normal way of communicating to them. But it's just like 15 people. And so they understand. The same is true for the district executive committee. Most of their communication is done outside Club Runner just as email messages so that you can reply to all. But it's a much smaller group of people. But good question. Thank you, Randy. That's always fun. All right. And yes, Gene, I will get to the Club Runner Change It Over series. So anyway, just some key points about the email. You can add together multiple lists of people very easily. You can add individuals. You can even say, by the way, exclude these certain people. So if this was a secret message and I didn't want CSIRO to see it, I would exclude her because maybe I'm going to say, hey, let's all bring birthday presents to our next meeting and surprise her. So I can do that too. I don't use that very often, but it is fun when you need it. And you can schedule sending in advance. So I can say, please send this message out next Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. And it'll take care of all of that. We use that a lot in things that are particularly time sensitive. So for instance, we have an event coming up and we want to say, okay, here's the map to our meeting tomorrow because it's at a different location. And so we want that to be at the top of people's inbox. So we send it out like the night before or something like that. And you can send an AI generated message if you want to. And I was playing with that yesterday just to see what it was like. And it was not too bad. It's like, okay, it's something I can start working with. But I don't have time to walk you through that today. So feel free to play with that. It doesn't actually send a message until you want to. It lets you look at it and modify it and everything like that. So it's easy to play with. Okay. We have started using online payments through Club Runner, and it's actually quite useful. We had to set up a PayPal account. Actually, for our club, we have two PayPal accounts. We have one which goes to our club and one which goes to our foundation. The reason we do that is because the foundation stuff is tax deductible. And so we need to maintain a nice, clear trail of when we are donating money. On the outside, let me bring that up. What this looks like is a big donate button that I put at the top. And it gives us, first, this is the mechanism we use for paying for a guest lunch. So if you're bringing a guest to lunch, this is how you do it. But we have a number of other campaigns, they call them. And some of them are tax deductible. Paying for lunch is not tax deductible. But things like contributing to a Reverie Foundation, contributing to Food Bank, things like that are tax deductible. And so that's why we've got those two PayPal accounts. And they have a way that you can have the donator contribute also the cost of the payment. Because, of course, whenever you do anything via credit card, the credit card companies are going to get their 3% or whatever. So this is the world we live in. And so if you want to, you can set it up so that the person who's donating pays that. And honestly, I haven't had people push back on that. Okay. If people are that intent about saving the 3%, then they'll pay via check and they'll do it directly. They won't do it through the website. Because whenever you do stuff through websites, whether it's ours or anybody else's, there's always going to be that credit card cut for doing it electronically. And by the way, that's also why we don't do our quarterly dues through Club Runner. We do that directly through QuickBooks, and some people who want to pay online do it that way, but they have to pay the additional fee. The people who don't like doing it that way pay via check directly to the treasurer. So the four systems that they support, got that, are PayPal, Stripe, Worldline, and Paya. So these are systems that are popular in the US and Canada. And so yes, there are other systems that are cheaper, but they are much harder for Club Runner to integrate with. And so, they have to go to a whole lot of work to set this up at the back end. And so they've got a limited number of companies that they've done, and they've been expanding it. I was holding off until they added PayPal because that's the one that we used. So, but yes, there are other mechanisms that are more cost efficient than PayPal and Stripe. I get that. But it's harder for them to integrate. Which is, by the way, one of the reasons why Zephy is cheaper is because they don't have all of this complex integration with other systems. So, you get what you pay for, which is okay. All right. But thanks for the questions. Okay, so let's see. Next to the last slide here. Okay, so I have started using a new thing that a facility they have called Forms. Let's see if I don't have it on this page. If you want to be a sponsor for our club, these are what the advertisements look in our club, but you have control over that. If somebody wants to be a sponsor, then that's actually now done via a form that's on Club Runner. I gather the information. I need to have their name, their company information, what the graphic needs to look like, things like that. And then it notifies me when somebody submits something. It's not that easy to download the data. So we were talking about using it for people that are potential beneficiaries for our club, and we have not turned that on yet, particularly because the data download was a bit messier than we liked. But it's good to play with. And so, if you're interested in that kind of function, it's really quite useful and can save paper and save setting up an equivalent thing on a different kind of system. So, the last thing, just wanted to mention that we do have the changeover training getting turned on. It's May 4th to 14th. It's all virtual, and here's what it looks like. They do this every year, and it is brilliant. It is some of the best training that they have. It is focused. It is efficient. It is specifically for Rotary clubs. So it's the kind of things we run into. You'll notice that they have a general what's new. They have a district version because our district, by the way, is a Club Runner site. So just so you know. But then they have, deep dive into membership and club administration. So they've got all these things set up. They record all of these. So if you're not able to participate in real time, you can go back and look at the recordings. So actually the tutorials that they have, many of them were generated in previous years of this changeover training. So highly encourage that. Go ahead and check that out. Here's the URL. I made a QR code for it because that's easy to do. So if you've got your phone, you can take a quick look at that, but it takes you to exactly that place. So any final questions? Karen's
got her hand up.
So when I've talked with them at PETS and other conferences, I know that not all of our clubs use Club Runner, but there is a Club Runner Lite version as well, correct? Is that available with Nova?
Good question. They've got different levels, but what they're moving to is a model where they include more functionality at the same cost. And so one of the things that they used to do under the old model is you could get the basic Club Runner for a certain cost, and it depends on your club size. So that's why I can't quote numbers. But then they said, well, if you want to do billing, then we're going to add money to that. If you want to do more event functionality, then that's going to cost extra. And of course, people like us are very annoyed at an approach like that. So now the Nova approach is that they include almost all of that for free at the basic level. And so they've been getting more approach with that. So I would say, go ahead and check it out and see if there's a level that works for you and your club. if there's something that doesn't work, talk with them about it and say, well, do you this kind of stuff might work better for us. So
Yeah,
all
I
right.
think the point is that the pricing can vary depending on club size.
Totally depends on club
really
size.
wanted to make that point because I know there are a number of our clubs that I've spoken with who don't use Club Runner because of pricing concerns. So I just want to encourage folks to check that out, as well as you can also go to the District Club Runner site and enter your members, which is our preference because it does sync up with, even though you're not a Club Runner user.
Yeah, so that's a nice thing that we found works really well for a lot of the smaller clubs who really don't care to have their own website and manage all this stuff this way. Is like, well, you can manage it through the district site because district is paying for a Club Runner account as well. And it gets synchronized up with Rotary International and all that stuff. So the light version that Karen was talking about, I'm looking at the pricing page here. They've got it set up as $21 a month based on its club size of 20 members. But if I had like 200 members, okay, then the light version is $73 a month, and the standard version, which is the one that I'm using for our club, is $85 a month. We pay it every 6 months because doing an invoice every month would be annoying. But anyway, so you can see how the pricing works, and go ahead and play with that. Any other questions? I have no idea how close I am to time, Alvin.
Oh, being ahead is always a good idea. Don't worry about that.
Well,
that's fantastic. Gosh,
I was
Carl,
just-
I really appreciate that. It sounds like, and my experience has been that changing over to Nova has been very easy. And as a pseudo techie human, and somebody that's annoyed by bad systems, I am really, really impressed with the new system for Nova. So if your club has not looked into or already made the change, you will eventually end up there anyways, as Carl said. So I strongly encourage it. Like anything, if you're really good with current Club Runner, you'll be annoyed because it's different. It's really is a much more functional system from my experience and from what, Carl and I have had a couple conversations about it. So I think it will be beneficial to understand it. And when you have challenges, you can always just reach out to Carl.
And to reiterate, Carl, there's no additional fee to upgrade to Nova, correct?
Correct. As a matter of fact, there's some chance that it will become cheaper if you've been paying for some of the additional modules that are now included. So, but there's no fee. And they'll work with you on a schedule. So what I did last year is I said, it would be convenient for us if we changed over on July 1st when we are doing our yearly updates of everything. And it actually changed over like 2 days before July 1st. They said, yep, we can make that happen. A lot of clubs want to do it on July 1st. So we're going to do them all at once. And so converting over, and I didn't lose any data at all. It was all still there, all functioning. I did do a backup of the database because I'm paranoid, just in case, but I've never had to go back and look at that. So the email reminder for the Nova changeover training, yes, I do believe that you get an email reminder for that. But also if you can't participate the entire time, or if you have a conflict, then they'll make a recording and you can get a copy of the recording and view that as well. So, and some of them talk very quickly. So, some of them you have to be on your caffeine to make sure that you can catch up with what they're doing because they run through a lot of information quickly.
Awesome, guys. Any other questions real quick before we I'm not seeing any hands. All right, we're going to take a quick 5 minute bio break so everybody can take a break, and then we're going to be getting into district grants training so that everybody can take advantage of some money to spend making the world a better place. Hey, John, when your gardener's done, could you send him up to do my front yard? Because it's kind of a train wreck. That'd be great. Thanks, buddy.
Sure. They're hard to catch. It's like scheduled them 3 weeks ago and they just came in today. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna take you whenever you come in. So
Landscaping's rough. I actually switched all of my side yard into a separate yard for the dogs that's actually like professional grade turf, and then my whole backyard's turf. But I have a 100+ year old house downtown, so like I can't bring myself to do it out front. So I try to keep the grass alive, and it is not working well. But I really need to break down and hire a professional.
yeah, they're like gold right now. Yeah, they're. Oof.
Carl, I can't remember. I feel like we said there was only just a few clubs that weren't on Club Runner. Is that right? I know you like figured that out fairly recently.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I know you figured out recently, but there was only a few clubs in the district that weren't on Club Runner, right?
I'd say about a third of the clubs are
Was it
not
that
in Club
many?
Runner. Yeah. So
Wow. All right. I was thinking it was less than that.
Yeah, it's been a cost issue, at least in the clubs I've talked with. And we do
yeah.
have one club that uses DACDB, which is another another system for Rotary. So um, I like that our district mostly does Club Runner because the interface makes the interfaces better.
Yeah, if everybody's on the same platform.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
because
each
one of the
club
big
has to be,
values is getting the member information synchronized between the systems.
yeah.
So that you can just say, yep, this person changed their contact details, and then it magically gets propagated to all the rest of the databases, and you don't have to be sending messages to a million people to say, please update this.
But every club has to make their own decision.
Yeah, that's the strength of Rotary.
Mhm.
Right. Now, do you suppose that might be some of the, as we were talking in the executive meeting yesterday, we have a lot of variables on different reports saying different numbers of members and things like that. Is that probably linked to that?
It can be because also each club has to make sure that their Club Runner site is synced with RI. It's a very easy thing to switch on and off to. I don't know, Carl, if you've got that screen to show people, but not all clubs have checked that. So if they're not syncing to RI and they're not entering their data in both places, then the numbers will be different.
Data entry. It's everybody's favorite.
Yep. Junk in, junk out.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, so let me share that.
Sweet. We're gonna kick off with Robin in about 30 seconds, guys.
Yeah. So here's the RI integration, and you can check to see, is it actually working? But here's the big switch that says, please turn on the integration between Club Runner and at the club level and Rotary International. And it's that simple.
Nice. All right. Well, we are going to kick off here with getting Robin Steele going on our grants training. As was discussed at President-elect training and a couple other things. This is your a RI requirement that the president-elect of every club completes this training so that they can get grants for their clubs. So please welcome our wonderful and esteemed Robin Steele.
Esteemed? I'm not sure about that. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you.
Can you turn up your volume a little bit, Robin? It's really hard to hear you.
Turn up my volume.
Right.
No, you have to turn up your volume on your side. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
I can just talk louder. Let's see.
We've seen you do that. We know you can.
Yes, it's from my coaching experience. You have to learn to project your voice in a loud gymnasium, right? So I am our current District International Service Chair. I will be moving to District Foundation Chair July 1, and the esteemed Randy Looper will be our new District International Service Chair. So he and I are going to walk you through this training. There's still a questionnaire that you have to fill out and send in order to qualify. But we'll walk you through this training. How many president-elects do we have on the call? I don't know if I can see everybody. Do your little raise your hand at the bottom of the screen versus raising. Yeah, there you go. Put your little hand up in the corner. Do you know how to do that, y'all? Go to the bottom of the screen, react, and choose some kind of form of reaction. Okay, we have a few president-elects, it looks like. Okay, just a second. I did something, so I lost my screen. Can you all still see the slides?
Yes.
I can't for some reason. Just a second. What just happened? I don't usually have these kind of issues. All right, let's start. So I'm the current chair of District International Service, or the Grants Committee. John Trone and Krishna Murthy help with global grants. Randy is the extreme knowledgeable one about district grants. And Randy is also our grants treasurer for the district. As mentioned, in July 1, I'll be moving to foundation chair. Randy will be DISC. We have some new folks who are willing to help us out with global grant advising. Raju from Fort Collins Breakfast, Fort Collins After Work. Krishna from Fort Collins Breakfast. And then we've got a couple other people who are interested. Some are on the call. Lynn Mortensen, Cassie Winters, and potentially Ann Slack. So we're going to have a much bigger grant committee going forward, which is wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for volunteering to help out. And Randy will continue to do district stuff and potentially recruit someone else to help. So I was trying to figure out how to do a poll with the Zoom meeting. I wasn't able to figure that out.
Robin, maybe Kelly can just keep track of who's PEs for us. I don't know if she can or not, but
yeah, I took attendance, so I'll know who was on the call.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, if you would please put in the chat real quickly, what are you hoping to learn from this grant training? A few of you, anybody interested in sharing what you want to learn? Confirm the process. Simple methods. Need help with the test? Oh, it's easy. The questionnaire for president-elects. Okay, local grant for an annual holiday project. That would be a district grant. Sorry, Dan, can't use AI for the test. You can't use artificial intelligence. You have to use real intelligence. No, nothing new, but we still have a lot of global grant requirements.
Yeah, I would add, Robin, even if you have been submitting grants for the past 2 years, if you're a new president-elect and you have not signed the online form with the memorandum of understanding, your club won't qualify.
Okay, thanks for sharing. We'll cover most of what you're requesting. Darcy, the P is the person starting July 1. If you don't have someone identified to start July 1, I think that's more of a discussion with Karen Morgan. By P, I mean the person starting July 1 needs to qualify for grants. Okay, thank you.
Robin, if you're a repeat president, we have some clubs that have encore presidents who have 2-year terms. Do they need to refill out the form this year?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
And we'll send them an MOU because they have to do it every single year. Even if they've done it 5 years, they have to do it every single year.
You have to re-sign the MOU every year. They should be able to redo the questionnaire quickly because by receiving that questionnaire, that's when it triggers us to send you the MOU for the year.
Great, thank you.
Okay, just a quick overview about how this all works. I usually start with this because it's a little bit of a complex process, and some of you have heard it many times, but it's always a good reminder about where we get district designated funds, which we use to match cash contributions from clubs. And that's where you're able to use more money for doing good in the world and in your local communities. So the annual fund is where DDF comes from. It's one of 4 foundation funds: the annual fund, the endowment fund, disaster relief fund, and the Polio Plus. But annual fund is specifically where DDF is generated. And again, DDF is used to match our club contributions to grants, both district grants and global grants. So how does this work? DDF is a result of our club members' donations to the annual fund share 3 years ago. It's held 3 years in fixed income investments at Rotary International. After 3 years, 47.5% comes back to what's called the World Fund, and 47.5% goes to DDF. And there's 5% that's taken out for administration. So World Fund, DDF. So the DDF that comes back to us, we use to match cash contributions from the clubs. So for both district and global grants. Our district will match up to 2x, $6,000 on district grants. Applications are due June 16th. And for global grants, we'll match 2x up to $10,000 for each global grant, where one of our clubs in our district is a sponsor and host sponsor or an international partner sponsor for the global grant. World Fund matching, the other part of that money that comes back to us through an 80% match of our DDF. So if we put DDF into a global grant, the World Fund will match that DDF on the global grant by 80%. Okay, so here's a little example of that to help you all understand it. So say your club puts $5,000 into a global grant. Okay. And you ask for the 2x DDF match of your 5,000. That's 10,000 DDF. The World Fund will match that DDF at 80%. So that's additional 8,000. Okay. You just turned your 5,000 into 23,000. That's a 4.6 times leverage of the original investment. So this hard-earned cash that your club generates through fundraisers or donations by your members can be multiplied. Let's not leave money on the table. Let's get our DDF matches. In this case was a global grant, but also for district grants. So how are we doing in our district? Only about 10 to 15% of our clubs participate in global grants, though I'm excited that this year was a big increase. Thank you if you are a new club that embarked on a global grant. I know it's not easy, but still only 30 to 40% of our clubs do district grants. So let's work together and not leave this kind of matching on the table. Okay. So these were our numbers for 25-26. 152,000 roughly came back from 3 years ago. Endowment fund, 18,000 from endowed funds. If anyone in our district has created an endowed fund at Rotary International, that's what that's all about. And then there was significant carry forward from previous years because we hadn't been spending all our DDF. The good news is we have spent a lot of that carry forward so that we will no longer have to give any money back to the foundation.
Robin, let me just clarify real quick that that's global fund, not district fund. We have spent all of our district fund grants, just so people know.
Yep. I'm going to cover that in just a second. Okay, so half of this goes to district and half of it goes to global grants. In this case, 91,509 for district grants, and all this funds have been spent for the year. And this left 214,271 for global grants because the carry forward was global grant money. And we still have a little bit that's currently unallocated for this fiscal year, though you would probably not be able to get a global grant through and approved through the system by June 30th. So that will carry forward for next year. Okay, so for global grants, we had 25 grants versus 20 last year, 1.6 million project total. Used almost all of our DDF. For district grants, as mentioned, we've used all of that money for 37 grants. Okay, and now Randy will cover the details on district grants.
So to be eligible, and Kelly just sent the link, every PE, or if you're returning president, needs to answer the qualification questions. And as Robin said, if you've done them before, it's an easy, quick process. You'll send that in to the District 5440 website, into the email, and then Robin will send you, or next year I will send you the MOU, and then the president and the president-elect needs to sign the MOU. If you do not have a PE, then probably the presidents and the grants chair, you need two people, so president and someone from your board. You need two people to sign the MOU, one way or the other, because that was an issue last year and people got confused on that. And yes, signatures cannot be done online, as Robin just said. Everything is sent via email. So you'll basically answer the questions, you'll scan it and send it in an email to the district site, and then we'll respond in an MOU. The sooner you can do that, the better. The more you put it off, and I know your PE has a lot going on right now, but if you can sit down with your current president, and because they've been through the process, or if you have a grants chair or a foundation chair, they've been through the process, just anything you can to help them get through, because the faster you can do this, then that's off your plate. Because this year, for the first time, I'm enforcing a June 1st deadline, and you'll see that in a minute. If you haven't completed the qualification by June 1st, you're not going to qualify. So just get that done. as soon as possible. So far, we've had 2 clubs, and that's the reason why I'm bringing it up. And I know more will do it, but that's just one of the things. As your PE must put in your foundation giving goal to the Rotary Club Central. On matching grants, clubs cannot have any overdue quarterly grant reports. What that means is that Linda Brown now, in addition to myself, send out on past grants for matchinggrants.org saying do a quarterly update on your project so we know where it's at. If those aren't being done, or the next thing, if you have grants on matching grants that are 2 years old or older, you're not going to be eligible for a district grant. So please go through and make sure that whoever is your project chair, if you have current grants in the last 2 years, make sure they're doing the updates, and make sure that if you have a grant that's over 2 years old, you either have put in what your plan is of how to close it out, or you have closed it out. Because again, all those are the basic requirements. We took out last year, we had added in the putting in the president needed to get in goals. We took that out for this year. So those are all the requirements. Clubs basically are eligible depending on the amount of per capita that they give to the foundation. So basically, you take as of June 30th, the amount of money your club has given to the foundation divided by the number of members as of June 30th. That's your per capita. So if you are Tier 1, you're $200 or more per capita, you're access to 6,000 DDF. If you're Tier 2, that's in the 100 to 199 per capita, you have access to 5,000 DDF. Tier 3 is the 50 to 99, you have access to 3,500. Anything under $50 per capita, you're not eligible for district grant. Okay, next slide. There you go. There you go. Okay. All the grants are matched 2 to 1. So for example, if you're in Tier 2 and you have a 100 to 199 per capita and you have access to 5,000 DDF, that is matched to $2,500 of your club level. So it's basically a 2 to 1. Now the club can give more than that. If you want to give 3,000, 5,000, whatever to make the grant work, that's fine. But DDF is limited to a match of the 2 to 1. And that's also on the 3,500 and the 5,000 or 6,000. District grants can be local or they can be international. That's one of the really nice things about district grants is you can use it for various projects you're doing in your area, or you can, if you have an international project, someone that's going on, you can either do that yourself. With smaller clubs, one of the things the Craig Club has done, and one of the things I really push, is find a bigger club that's doing something internationally and partner with them on a project where, for example, and the one I bring up all the time is the Greeley Centennial Club and the Craig Club partnered for a number of years on schools in Honduras, where we did a sewing center where the Greeley Centennial Club did the building part of it and the Craig Club provided the actual sewing materials and supplies and the training for it. So you can take a project and divide it in two, and 2 clubs can partner in order to make it work, as long as you are not doing the same thing on that project. And it's a great way for a smaller club to get involved internationally, is to find another club in our district who's doing it. And if you locally have your own, great. We are doing Rotaract and Interact grants again this year. They are limited to $300 that we will match 2 to 1. So basically it would be $450 for a grant. District scholarships, what those are is if you have both undergrad or graduate where they are doing something in the 6 areas of service, you can do a scholarship for it. That will be matched up to $1,000. So that would be a 2 to 1. So if the club puts in 500 DDF would be 1,000, and that's $1,500. That district scholarship, just so you're aware, is over and above your tier level. So if you're at a tier of 5,000, the $1,000 district scholarship DDF is over and above that. So you can do your normal tier level and you can do a district scholarship. And then all grants need to be submitted on matchinggrants.org. Next slide, Robin. Right now, only about 40% of our clubs are doing district grants. District grants are really easy. All I'm looking for, unlike most grants around the world that you're applying for a district grant, you go on matchinggrants.org. If the grant is humanitarian in nature, if you have Rotarian involvement, and your club, and you meet the qualifications that I just went over, you can do a district grant. I don't want a 2-page description of what you're doing. What I want is a paragraph or less of telling, this is what we want to do, this is how we're doing it, this is our Rotarians, what Rotarian involvement we're going to have. So it's just really easy. I've encouraged, particularly with smaller clubs who haven't done it in the past, pick a project that you're already doing and apply for a district grant for that project. It'll give you extra money for a year. I mean, it's just a super easy process. And hopefully we will have enough money to cover in the future. What that comes back to is foundation, but I'll talk about that later. So go on to the next one, Robin. So basically, we use all the available DDF every year, and that's what's particularly the last 2 years. We've had more applications than we've had DDF, so we've had to cut. Hopefully, that will not have to happen in the future. The PE must be qualified by June 1st. As I've said in the past, I've let you slide on that. That's not going to happen this year. If your PE if you do not have a signed MOU by June 1st, you will not be qualified. Applications on matchinggrants.org are due June 16th. I would start putting them on now or talking about in your club now what type of grants you want to do. And the sooner you can put on the application, the better. But the deadline for that will be June 16th, because lots of times when you put on the application, I'll have questions that you'll be missing things. So it'll be a communication back and forth between me and you. And so please try to do it sooner than June 16th, because if I have questions, yeah, it's going to be a problem. And then increasing your clubs and our district's contribution to the annual fund is how we increase district grant DDF every year. That's what I was talking about with the foundation. I can't emphasize that enough, that giving to the foundation is a great way to get money back to your club in order to do a grant. If you're not giving to the foundation, or with the district as a general through your club doesn't give to the foundation as much, we run into the problems like we had the last 2 years, where we have less foundation money than we have grants available. We have more grants than we have foundation money. That hasn't happened often. In the 12 years I've been doing this, I'd say it's happened once or maybe twice. But yeah, the more you give the foundation, the more that opens up that you can do grants, and more clubs can do grants, and we won't be limited. Next one, Robin. Okay, district grants are small, basically usually 1,500 to 15,000. They can be local and international. It's hands-on, meaningful club participation. Not only that it's hands-on because it's required. One of the things, if you have a grant that you're not having Rotarian involvement, it's not going to be approved. If you are basically giving as a club, just giving money to somebody without Rotarian in your club involvement, again, it's not going to be approved. The grants are there for your projects that you guys as a club are doing. And then approval by district is required to receive district funding. And then, Robin, you want to go over the global part of it?
Sure. So the key point on this slide is you can use a district grant to do an international project. So there are community district grants, which is mostly what we do and what Randy talked about, but you can also use district grant funding for an international project. Okay. That can be a small amount, 1,500 to 15,000. Global grants, on the other hand, need to be a minimum of $30,000. So these are larger, more more complicated, multi-year kinds of projects and programs. 2 Rotary clubs from around the world need to be involved. A Rotary club from the host country where the project's taking place, an international partner club that needs to be outside of that country. Now, typically, the international partner clubs are the countries that tend to be economically better off. So, for example, US, Canada, Australia, England, other countries that are not developing countries, so to speak. So the host country where the project's taking place usually finds an international partner club that has some money to work with them on the project. Global grants require active Rotarian involvement. The trustees at the foundation who actually approve these global grants have gotten more serious about making sure that Rotarians are involved. So you can't just find a project, find a nonprofit to implement that project for you, and then send in the report. The Rotarians in the host country and in the International Partner Club need to put into the grant how they're going to be actively involved in the project. It requires a community assessment, which I'll talk about in a minute, that shows that the community actually wants this project versus we're coming in to do good in the world and it's not really what the community wants. The DDF is approved through a matchinggrants.org entry. And then the application, This Is Health, is approved by Rotary International in the Grant Center at rotary.org. We also, each year, our district is very good at doing what's called a Global Grant Scholarship. This does not require any money from the club who is sponsoring it. Cheyenne is doing one this year. We put in $16,667 in DDF. Why that exact number? Because if you take the 80% World Fund match and add it to the 16,667, now you're at the minimum of 30,000. So this Global Grant Scholarship is funded fully by DDF and World Fund dollars. Okay. You find a candidate that wants to study abroad, you get a partner club in that country where the student is studying, and they can have $30,000 to help with their education. I can't see the participants when I'm sharing the screen, so if anyone raises their hand with questions or in the chat, Randy, will you let me know? Okay, global grant process. It's a combination of our time, our talent and vocation and commitment. It can be on a scale of fairly easy to very complex, but again, it is a more involved process than a district grant. But the tremendous value and work that we do around the world with these grants makes it more than worth it, in my opinion. Okay, so here are the basic steps. Rotary International puts out a global grant document. I think it's 50 some pages. If you read through that document and you've never done a global grant, your eyes will roll into the back of your head and you'll say, no, I'm not going to do this. It's really these steps. And if you'd like for someone on the committee to mentor you and help you through these steps, we're happy to do that. First, you identify and document a project idea. You have to have a partner club somewhere in the world. And by the way, can a global grant be done in the US? Yes, we have done global grants in the US, several on Native American reservations where you're finding an international partner somewhere else to actually do a global grant in the US. These don't happen often, but they do happen. Again, you must complete the community assessment. It shows that the community needs this project. You complete a detailed budget and then the draft application. You can fundraise in parallel while you're completing the application. You finalize your Rotary International application in the Grant Center at rotary.org. We require in our district that you complete some kind of review with the regional grant officer who's assigned for the country of the project. They are out of Evanston, a technical cadre advisor. And sometimes this can take several passes because they'll provide feedback and then you have work to do. So you complete the review, you get a blessing that this looks good and will probably be approved by the trustees. Then you submit the application to RI through the grant center on Rotary.org. Then you implement the project, manage the financial records, complete required reports. Reports are required each year. You actually complete the grant in 1 year, you can do your final report in that first year and be done. Okay. Any questions? I am now going to walk through examples of each of these steps so you can see what that looks like practically. Okay. So these are the basic requirements from the Rotary Foundation. Each area of focus, WASH, community and economic development, environment, maternal health, education, disease prevention, and peace. They each have an area of focus policy statement. So make sure you find this on Rotary.org and read through the exact requirements for the area of focus of your grant and make sure you're meeting those. Okay. These are things that are ineligible. It doesn't fit one of Rotary's areas of focus. It has a high risk of failure or is not sustainable after Rotary is done. It cannot benefit another organization, or a community assessment was not effectively conducted. These are the big reasons that grants are ineligible. As mentioned, we have to have 2 clubs. This is part of a basic principle of Rotaries to get Rotary clubs around the world to work together to do good in the world and build the fellowship part of this as well. So you identify and document a project idea, step 1, and find a partner club. This shows the kind of activities the different partners do. The host club, of course, can be more hands-on, on the ground, helping with project implementation, etc. International sponsor, people can travel and help implement the grant, but they usually provide financial assistance, help with the reports and the financing part of the grant. And again, and it's very fulfilling. And one of my favorite things about Rotary is to visit these projects in other countries. And Rotarians can do that. Okay. So the community assessment is a very important aspect of this. Rotary years ago, probably 10 years ago, realized they were doing global grant projects around the world. However, when Rotary was done and walked away, then all the goodness of that project declined dramatically. So for example, a water project, you do a water distribution system, it gets installed, it's working, Rotary leaves. Now it breaks down, they don't know how to get the parts, they don't know how to maintain the water system, and now the water distribution system is in disrepair. So we have to put these kinds of things into the grant and show it's sustainable and show that the community wants this and can carry on after Rotary's gone. So here's an example. This was the El Potrero Water Project. It was the Rotary Club of Fort Collins, and then Lake Adelon, which is in Guatemala. We had other partners. This is very important. Many of us are still working and we're all volunteers. So you have your host club, you have your partner club, and then you can have what's called a cooperating organization or a nonprofit or someone else out there to help implement the grant. They can be paid 10% of the full amount of the grant for project management, okay? So in this case, we had Engineers Without Borders in Guatemala and in Colorado, and we had a municipal organization that helps with water management in the El Potrero community. And those were the people that implemented the project. How we did the community assessment, You can find data from the municipality. You can find a third party who can provide you information on the needs in the community, but it can be this simple. They did a community meeting and they had flip charts and captured people's thoughts and collected the data on what was needed in the community. So that's an example of how a community assessment can be done. There's a template, community assessment questions that need to be answered on the grant. Fill out that. If you use that template and answer those questions with regard to the community assessment, you pretty much have checked the box for community assessment. Sustainability, I mentioned this earlier. We have to clearly explain how the project will continue to be successful after the partners are completed with their work. This includes, was everyone trained properly? Not only in maintenance of a water system, or say it's community economic development and you're doing business loans and you're training people on how to start a small business. There probably needs to be a train the trainer program so that they can continue training themselves. How can you measure the success, and how will things be financially stable, sustainable after the project is done? So back to the El Potrero project, the sustainability was achieved as follows. There is this community development council in Guatemala, and they got involved and they actually bought the spring water so that it was owned by the community. So now it's sustainable because someone else can't come and take your water away. They bought the land, and then they committed to keeping track of the water system and helping with maintenance and measuring of the quality of the water, et cetera. So they had a financially stable way for this water system to continue after the project was done. Okay, so Randy already talked about matchinggrants.org. You must do a district grant application on matchinggrants.org. That's it. That's how you get your district grant. For global grants, you have to do a matchinggrants.org entry for your global grant in order to request DDF. Okay, you have to do a matchinggrants.org entry for any grant in our district or global grant. Okay, so how do you do that? You go to matchinggrants.org, and if you don't have a login, you create a login, and then it's pretty simple, self-explanatory description, financing. Just create an entry. And then on the financing tab, this is where you request your DDF. So Fort Collins put in $7,500 cash for this grant. We asked for our 2X, which was $15,000. A couple of years ago, we had a max of $15,000. Now it's back down to 10. Okay. And then when all of the steps have been completed for you to get your DDF, then this is approved. And you can actually submit your application to the foundation on Rotary.org. Okay. The other thing here, besides your description, which includes who's the host club, who's the partner club, and the financing, is you need to complete a detailed budget and draft application at Rotary.org. Okay. Fundraising, where do you get the funds for a global grant? You can have your club's funds. You can get funds from other clubs in our district or another district. Outside organizations can donate, but here's a trick. If the outside organization donates directly to the project, it doesn't get matched. If that outside organization donates the money to your Rotary Club, and then your Rotary Club puts it to the global grant, that can be matched by DDF and the World Fund dollars. Okay. So we mentioned that you must do a matchinggrants.org entry to ask for matching funds for a global grant. So here's on our website, here's all of the requirements to get your matching funds for a global grant. Again, it has to be reviewed by a cadre officer or an RDO. before we'll approve the DDF. Here's the district's grants video training. There's also some slides out there. I can't see the chat box, but the person that asked about that they needed help with the test and the person that said, can we use AI to help with the test? You just need to go to these slides and this video, and all the answers to the questions on the questionnaire are right there, or on the district grants website itself. A lot of the answers to the questions are right here on this screen, okay? So again, final applications are submitted through the Grant Center at My Rotary. You finalize your application, you get reviews from the RGO or a cadre, you submit the application, and then you implement the project. Another very important thing I like to share with people, when you do your budget for a global grant, make sure every line item in the budget is something that you will have a receipt or an invoice for. Because then when you submit your financials, the Rotary Grants Officer that has to verify that you spent the money the way you said you'd spend it can easily go, oh, here's the receipt for this. Here was this in the budget. Here's the invoice for this. Here it is in the budget. If you just have a pile of receipts that you send off to the RGO, getting your reports approved is a very painful process. So again, specifically list your budget items in the global grant so that you can easily match a set of receipts or a invoice. Does that make sense?
Robin, they're wondering if we can send out the slide deck, and Kelly's saying they can. So, okay,
Yep.
We're good.
Yep. Okay, someone else in the chat asked for, what's maybe a simple way to do some of this stuff, or what are some of the tricks? So you may have never done a global grant in your club, but you're interested in getting your toe in the water and getting involved in this goodness we do around the world. Here is the best way to start. Find another global grant that's out there where there's a host club and an international sponsor club. And your club just contributes to the project. So they're doing all the heavy lifting. They're submitting the grant application. They're doing the follow through, et cetera. You are just contributing cash from your club. If you contribute cash from your club to someone else's grant, you can still ask for DDF match. So now you've contributed to this. You can make sure you're getting emails and updates on the project. You can join the committee as they're working through the process to get the grant approved. And you can learn and shadow someone else's global grant process and learn how you might want to do it yourself in your club. Okay? So how do you find one of these to contribute to? We'll go out to matchinggrants.org, click on Global Grants. You'll see all the grants for that current year. Click on the current year. And then you can search down through there, and it shows how much money they're still needing for financing. And then you go to the Finance tab, and you enter your club's name and your contact if you're the person doing it for your club. So I put, in my case, Rotary Club of Fort Collins, contact is Robin Steele. My club's going to put in $2,500, and I'm going to ask for 5,000 DDF. The maximum DDF you can get for someone else's grant, not your club's grant, is 5,000, not 10,000. Okay? So that's a really simple way to get involved in global grant without taking on the full process. Questions on that from anyone? Okay, yes, these slides will go out, and these slides, all of these are hot links, so you can get to these resources very easily. There's this 50-some page document I talked about, the Guide to Global Grants. It's very useful, but again, take those 10 steps that were mentioned previously and do each of those, and then go to the Guide for Global Grants for more details if you need it. Make sure you understand the global grants terms and conditions. There's some big issues in there with regard to conflict of interest and what the expectations are from the foundation, from the Rotarians and Rotary clubs involved. I mentioned the area focus policy statements. For each area of focus, there are specific items that the foundation is looking for in order for you to be eligible for a global grant. Okay, qualification must be done by June 1st. Fill out the questionnaire, send the questionnaire in, and then you will get an MOU that also needs to be signed. And as long as you're meeting the per capita foundation donations, you're qualified.
And the only other thing I wanted to emphasize on that is that global grants can be pretty much done at any time, whereas district grants, the deadline is the June 16th. The qualification process is the same for both, but pretty much the same for both, but the deadlines are not. The other thing I wanted, go ahead, Robin.
Yes, everyone needs to be qualified by June 1st, but what Randy's saying is district grant applications are due by the 16th, done for the year, unless we end up with extra money, which we haven't in the last few years. Global grants, you can apply for them at any time. Randy, did you have something else?
Oh, go ahead.
I have a question. Jack Ford from Estes Park Noon Rotary.
Hi, Jack.
What grants require a separate bank account?
Global grants.
Okay.
So that's a good question. So when the money is paid out from the foundation to the grant team, typically the money is held in the host country. There are some exceptions because there's corruption, big corruption in certain parts of the world, and Rotary has certain countries where they don't want the money going to that country, and the money is actually held in the club of the International Partner Club in the U.S. But to Jack's point, all global grants have to create a bank account in the name of that global grant, and all the funds go there, and then the funds go out. And when the funds go out, they need to match that budget, as I mentioned earlier. The separate bank account is required in order for checks and balances and for the foundation to verify that the money was being spent as was approved by the global grant. Does that help, Jack?
Yes, thank you. I just thought it was important to ask because I've seen it emphasized.
Yes. Good question. Thank you.
District grants don't need to be separate, but one of the things I suggest is as you spend money on the grant and for the district grant, upload that receipt or the copy of that check to the documents area of Matching Grants right then, matchinggrants.org right then, because if you don't, in a year or 2 years, it might be hard to find where those receipts are.
Yeah, keep receipts for both district grants and global grants. Okay, there's lots of help out there. There's our district grants committee, there's the regional grants officers, and there are hundreds of Rotary Foundation cadre advisors around the world. I am one for community and economic development. I just completed a site visit of a project in Belize, a community and economic development project. Anyway, if you would like a cadre advisor assigned to your global grant to help you, you just email cadre@rotary.org and say, can you please send me some contact information of a cadre advisor that can help me with this grant? Okay. This is current grants committee until July 1. Here's a whole bunch of other helpful links that you will be able to access through this slide presentation. And those are the prepared remarks. Other questions, comments?
The only other thing I wanted to add is with district grants in particular, if you have any questions, or if you want a presentation to your club about how, if you haven't done district grants in a while and you want to know how, I'm more than willing to come to your club. Email me, call me. I'm more than willing to talk to you. I've been doing it for a long time. So yeah, please, the more you know, the easier it is. And district grants really are easy for all clubs.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Any other questions? I think we were getting quite a few of them. John, what's up?
Oh, yeah. I think I asked you about this well back about 3 months ago about like I guess my situation with my brother in the Philippines. He will be he's a Rotary member and he will be the president elect. I mean he's the president elect right now and will be the president. And then it's a small club. They only have 18 members with 30,000 people in town. And for the past 4 years, they are doing water project and for remote areas. And then the project cost about 45,000. I mean, I'm sorry, 4,500, 4,500. And then, as you imagine, the median salary there is almost that. It's almost 4,500 per year. But most of the funding comes from the local Rotary members, and they are running out of individual wealthy members, I would say. So how can we? My question is that how can they start as far as partnering? Is it like partnering up with us with the local member here that he knows, like let's say specifically me that he knows, of course, and apply like district grants, or does it go under the global grants from that standpoint?
Depends on how small the way you're talking at 4,500, that's a district grant more than
Gotcha.
Global grant needs to be 30,000 minimum.
Okay.
As long as it's a specific project that's humanitarian, yeah, your club can basically apply for a district grant and
Gotcha.
you can contact with your brother and that Rotary club, and that would be the Rotarian involvement. With you and other members of your club knowing about it and then that other club in Philippines actually doing the project.
Yeah. So okay. So the first step is to partner up with our local club here in Scottsbluff. Is that correct?
Yes. First step
Okay.
is for the local club in Scottsbluff. Actually, the first step is for your PE to get qualified.
Qualified in here locally here in Scottsbluff.
Right, and
Okay.
your club be at least a $50 minimum per capita. Once those
Yes, we are more than that. I think. Yeah.
once that's done, because I know Scottsbluff used to do district grants all the time. Then you just take the project, you enter it on matching grants, and you go from there.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Yep. Appreciate that. Thank you.
That's actually a great example of those types of projects. I appreciate that. I didn't know that when I was earlier in the process of that a district grant could be global, just not as big of a project. So that's a great example, John. And Randy is a wonderful resource for that. So as you're working through it, just talk to him and like he said, just start with making sure your PE finishes the MOU and that stuff. So any other questions? Awesome. Thanks so much, Randy and Robin. You guys are fantastic. We appreciate you. I just shut myself up. Look at that. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for attending. We will be staying on. A few of us will be staying on to answer any random questions, specifically follow up to President-elect training, but also if you just have other types of questions and things like that, please feel free to stay on and ask questions of the district team. But otherwise, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy Saturdays to spend with us, and please head out into the world and make the world a better place.